When evil influences of fate are at play, prayer is needed. This is the main force that switches time from one stage to another. For example, if a country finds itself on the brink of war, prayer is necessary. This is the most important thing that can help because time softens. You might say, but who will pray? How many of us are there? Just a few dozen people praying is enough for real changes to begin in an entire country. It works powerfully, very powerfully. Each of you is a source. Each of you has freedom of choice. Each of you is a source of power that can soften the situation in the world, especially when it concerns your country, your family, and so on. You may say, I can't find a job. This kind of obstacle is overcome through prayer. At first there's fear in the heart. I will be unemployed. That is just the volume of work you have to do. Begin by listening to the voices of those who pray. Tune in to their frequency, resonate with them, join their wave. Enter the space of life where God lives, not your fate. Forget about your job and start thinking about prayer. Then after praying, when you return to your thoughts of work, you will feel lighter in your heart, and then you will feel good in your heart. That means you will find a job. From that moment, your sense of self-worth immediately begins to grow stronger. You become strong and more confident. The next stage of influence. Before, when I went to a job interview with an employer, I felt weak. But now I go and speak calmly. That's the second stage of overcoming fate. When I was a student, I was always afraid of professors. They always gave me a lower grade. I would study thoroughly, come to speak with professors and feel like I was losing myself, getting scared of something. They would start pressing me, failing me, and grading me down. That's what happened. But when I was preparing for my dissertation defense, I knew this could happen. So I started praying, deeply and sincerely. I developed calmness in my heart. I felt that everything will be fine. At the next stage of prayer, I felt that I could speak to them in a way that they wouldn't try to fail me, and that's exactly how it went. The atmosphere was very warm and kind. I felt good, and when at the end everyone started saying, excellent, wonderful, everything is great, at that moment I thought to myself how great I am, that I foresaw everything and prepared everything so well. I praised myself for doing everything so well, and right at that moment they began to challenge me and fail me, just like that. The moment a person starts to be proud of themselves, everything immediately changes in this world. The energy and the atmosphere immediately shift. This applies to everything, you see. I once had a situation. I was teaching someone to pray. We had very little time together, only 20 minutes, and it was starting to rain. We were praying. I was tuning him to the sound. Rain was coming, which meant we had to quit. That person wouldn't have endured it. I would have, but he wouldn't have endured the rain. He was in poor health. I tuned into the sound, intensified my focus, and felt the wind and the chill coming. Just as drops started to fall, I thought, rain is coming. And I tuned into the sound asking, we don't need rain now, please. We don't need a downpour. Not as if I were trying to pressure the forces that send the rain. Many people don't know that all of this is connected to consciousness. Let me explain now how it happened. I simply found the consciousness that was calling forth the rain and spoke to it inwardly. We don't need it now, please. Just a little later, we still need to finish something. This is very important. And imagine suddenly I see the wind stopped abruptly and the drop stopped. 5 minutes passed. The wind intensified again, as if some force was trying to bring the rain again, as if the desire grew stronger, and I was restraining this desire. Again I asked inwardly, just a bit longer, please. And again the same thing. The wind calmed down, and there's no rain. It went on like this every 5 minutes for the full 20 minutes. It repeated 4 times. And when we finished the prayer, I said, we're done. And at that moment, whoosh, a heavy rain started immediately. Even the forces of nature understand what kindness is. If you pray with a kind heart, if you appeal to God sincerely, even these forces are ready to postpone their course. Even the forces of nature are ready to do this, not to mention people and everything else, you understand? Everything in this world obeys the power of love, the power of kindness, the power of purity. This is exactly what we lack deeply in life, especially when time destroys connections between countries and between people, when relationships collapse and people are killed. You have spent your whole life raising your son, and then suddenly he is killed. Why was he killed? It's unclear, you don't know. A terrible pain appears in the heart, resentment, protest. The situation is escalating. When people start learning how to love, it does not mean they stop fulfilling their duty. It does not mean they don't have to defend their homeland. I'm talking about the overall atmosphere. When people begin to love, what happens? The situation softens. The same thing happens in a family. When the family is falling apart, chaos begins. You also start to pray. The first stage is calmness. You start to feel that everything will be fine. The second stage is influence. The third stage is a change in the heart of a loved one. Sometimes it's too late. For example, he already has another woman. That's it, my dear. There's a little girl looking at me now. She came to listen to lectures. She looked at me as an elder like this. I immediately thought, indeed am the elder, and started giving her my love, because it's shameful not to act like an elder when someone looks at you as an elder. This child is a good example. A child's pure gaze instantly makes you feel like a good person, because that's how God works. The Lord inspires people to be good. If everyone sees you good, the Lord inspires you in that. There are 3 spheres of accepting one's fate. If a person has accepted their fate and aligned it with their heart, then they begin to see the world with clarity and truth. They develop a clear understanding of how things should be and what is happening. Luck begins to come into their life, because acceptance is the first stage. Knowledge is the second. If a person does not accept fate and rebels against it, they will not understand their life. For example, if I rebel against my husband, I won't understand how to preserve our relationship. Knowledge will not come if I am rebelling, fighting, and wanting to change everything. First, I must accept. Even a warrior who fights for the homeland must first accept their fate. They must accept that they might be killed today. They must accept that they may lose their life, that they may not remain on this earth. If they have accepted everything, agreed with everything, then what happens? They receive knowledge where the danger will come from. You know, there were such warriors. It is described in Chronicles. There were warriors who knew where the danger would come from. They couldn't be killed because they accepted their fate. An arrow would fly, and without even looking, they would raise their shield, because they knew death was coming from there, just like that. The arrow strikes the shield. It's not that he's learned to see with the back of his head. He sees through his calmness. He looks at this world through the lens of knowledge. He perceives where the danger comes from because he uses knowledge to see. The same applies to people in leadership positions, to those in charge. They are constantly exposed to danger, continuously challenged. Others try to confront them because power is always contested. One must always fight for it. Such a person is in a perpetual state of battle. But if they accept their fate and the fact that people will challenge them and try to strip them of their power, then they gain the knowledge to protect their fate. We are talking about truth. What is the truth? Truth is knowledge. When knowledge enters your life, truth appears. So first, we must not be hostile to this world. We must accept it through prayer. Wherever you live, whoever you live with, however you live, first accept. Then you'll begin to understand what to do. But if you refuse to accept it, you will never know what to do with it. Knowledge follows truth, and kindness is the mother of truthfulness. Kindness means having the right relationships. Let's say you don't know how to stand your boss who is tormenting you and driving you mad. Start with kindness and acceptance. If you can't accept your boss, just pray. If you lack the strength to accept someone, it means you lack strength itself. So pray. First accept the person as they are. Then you'll understand them. I first accepted my wife. I used to wonder, why was she always so upset with me? I tried everything. I behaved well, I gave lectures, and she still took offense. Eventually I accepted it. Okay, she gets upset. That's fine. She's a woman. She gets upset. That's just how it is. It's my fate. I accepted her. I looked into her eyes and saw her as a person. I gained knowledge. I understood that she is far more sensitive than I am. Women are many times more sensitive. I came to see this. Once I understood this, I started doing things that seemed completely paradoxical. I began doing things for her I never would have done before just because what's normal for me is stressful for her. So I started doing things her way, and she began telling me, "You're such a good person." She was genuinely surprised that a man could understand how a woman is built, what she needs, and how deeply sensitive she is. But before that, I first had to process the pain. The pain of resentment is painful. When a woman speaks from a place of pain, she shatters your psyche. She causes pain and resistance in your heart, but you accept it. It's impossible to accept without God. Without prayer, without inner strength in your heart and soul, you cannot accept the pain that comes from a woman, from your wife. It's impossible to accept. It's too painful. That's why there is the concept of a lake of happiness in the heart. A lake of happiness means you are in harmony with this world. You go for a run and wish happiness to nature, and the lake expands. You wish happiness to people in the morning, and it grows even more. You connect with God, and the lake of happiness increases further. In that lake, your own resentment, anger, and hatred dissolve, along with the rudeness of others. Rudeness will never bring good, but in that lake it melts away. The lake of happiness may shrink a little, but it remains enough for life. You maintain your lance and calmness. Because you have enough, you've filled yourself. Some people ask me, when will I finally be happy, Dr. Torsunov? They think it will fill itself. It doesn't work like that. Yes, sometimes it grows or shrinks by fate, but for it to fill itself significantly through fate alone, that's a fairy tale. If you want to fill your lake of happiness to the fullest through your own efforts, you can, but for that you must connect with the source of happiness. That connection is faith. The stronger your faith, the stronger your connection. Faith grows through experience. That's why everything begins with trying. Try to forgive your husband. Try to go outside and run in nature. Recently in Lithuania, I was jogging through a forest. I felt as if the forest was pressing down on me a little. I thought, why does it feel that way? This is nature. It's divine. It should give me health. So I said, I accept you, forest. It was a pine forest. I said, I accept you, forest. I wish you happiness. And in that moment, I felt as if I was lifted up. My psyche opened up and rose upward. A connection formed. I received enormous strength, which immediately entered me. I accept you. It was incredible. This world is amazing, but in it, you must be strong. If you are weak, there will be no happiness. A woman must also be strong. Some women think they are weak. No, they are not weak. A woman is incredibly strong, but her strength is love. She is a source of love, and she should take a very strong position in life in this regard. She should not allow herself to be humiliated. She is a source of love, which means she holds great strength. She needs to recognize this in herself. When she does, she becomes worthy and dignified. Her beauty immediately begins to shine outward. A woman is the source of love, of happiness, and of relationships. What do winds usually do? They howl, sting, torment, but now they will sing. In winter, the winds will sing. Why will they sing? Because you accept winter. Once you've accepted winter, the winds will sing. They're no longer angry, they sing. Do you feel the difference? The winds bring you happiness. In spring, the water will murmur. That's the season of water, the wet season. Winter brings cold winds. They sing. A person becomes happy when they accept. Kindness means acceptance. Kindness is not humiliation. Kindness means acceptance. Kindness means you simply accept. You don't need to jump in front of anyone. You just accept the other person as they are. That's enough. You accept the other as they are meant to be in your life, and suddenly goodness and purity will start flowing from them, helping you accept them. They themselves will help you feel this later, but only once you've accepted them. You must make that inner effort on yourself. It is an ascetic practice. Shift yourself from fate to mercy. People say, I lack mercy in life. I lack luck. I'm just unlucky. Then shift. When you see violence coming at you, shift to mercy. Accept the person knowing that mercy will come later. Even the villain can become good and kind. Remember Dr. Ibelit? He was so kind. Barmeli said, I'll kill you. And Ibelit replied, first let me treat you, you're sick. And suddenly Barmeli softened. I'll tell you a story that happened to me once when I was a student. I was jogging. I used to run regularly. Then I stopped running because I thought it was not necessary, and prayer alone was enough. That's how it had been explained to me. Later, my views changed. Back then, I was jogging. Once, when I was going back home after a run, a man came up to me and suddenly put a knife to my stomach. He said, give me your money, or I'll shove it in. I told him I didn't have any as I was coming from a run. He asked, where's your money? I said, at home. He said, then let's get it from home. I agreed, let's go. He asked, why? I replied, because life is more valuable than money. He said, yes, that's true. So we walked together. We walked, and I acted normally, kindly. I fully accepted my fate. In fact, I had predicted such a situation. I asked myself, if this ever occurs, do I give money or my life? Of course, I'll choose life over money. I will let them take everything, no problem. So we walked, and he saw that I was treating him kindly. So eventually he said, all right, I'm actually just escorting you home so that no one bothers you. I don't need your money. You're a good person. So we walked together, and then he went his own way. That was an extraordinary moment in my life. Thank God for teaching me how to act correctly. When a person accepts their fate, they come into contact with the present moment. In that present, there are two important things to know. The first thing is called self-respect, or awareness of your divine nature. It's an understanding that God acts through you. It's not you who acts, but God acts through you. This gives you strength in life. For example, when a woman humbles herself too much before her husband, she immediately loses her beauty. When self-respect functions properly, a person always becomes influential and beautiful. But when it's off balance, everything feels off. A woman becomes beautiful, a man becomes strong when they accept themselves. They recognize what they are capable of. They believe that everything will work out, not because they believe in themselves, but because they believe in God who acts through them. If I live rightly, if I strive to do good and avoid wrong, then God begins to act through me and gives me strength. This is what self-respect is. Although in truth that term is misleading because we cannot really respect ourselves. Only God can truly respect us, or not. When God respects us, we feel it. We feel that everything is good, that we are doing the right thing, and we don't feel the need to be humiliated or proud. We just need to be strong. We need to be strong. Some say, it's not good to be strong, but that's not true. A woman should be strong too. There is this philosophy: be modest, hide your beauty, be quiet, behave modestly, don't let anyone notice or hear you. As a result, a woman can't get married. You know, it's not difficult to flatten someone, be it a woman or a man. It works just like flattening dough. Be humble, they say, and he's so humble, completely invisible. He doesn't know what humility is. For him, humility means humiliation. He becomes so humble that no one wants to marry him. So humble. I say, who wants such a man next to them? No one. A man should be strong. A woman should be strong too, with beauty. Otherwise, how will she get married? Humility is something entirely different. True humility is understanding yourself as a soul. That's humility. It's a very deep character trait. First, we should feel ourselves as a small eternal soul. This is part of what humility is. First, a person must simply learn to accept their fate and understand what self-respect really means. It means not being proud of yourself and not feeling humiliated, but living rightly, acting rightly, and believing that everything will be fine. That is self-respect. That's the first point. Now the second is called happiness. In Russian, shastya is composed of two parts. Shas means now, and ti means existence. When someone accepts their fate, they come into contact with the present moment, and happiness only exists in the now. People who believe in happiness in the future are actually not in contact with happiness. They are only chasing it. And in this pursuit of happiness, they see happiness, but it's like trying to lick honey that is inside a jar. Here is another Vedic analogy. Buffaloes chew sugarcane, extract the sweetness, and spit out the rest. This is how they extract sugar from it. They chew and extract sugar. Later, when they see this chewed cane lying around, they believe there is still sugar in it. So they chew it again. They chew and believe. They chew it out of faith. There's no more sugar to chew, but they want to. It's called living in the future, when a person believes that happiness will come later. But you need to feel it right now. You must accept your fate, your country, your people, your wife or husband. If you don't have the strength to accept, then pray. God will give you strength. If you don't have the strength to accept, if you feel weak, irritated, and tired of everyone, then turn to nature. Nature will give you strength, and you will calm down. It will help you accept others. If you say, Dr. Torsunov, I'm lonely. This means that you don't love people, you don't see the divine in them. Learn to see the divine. Do something good for others. I once saw the divine in an old lady. I simply went and bought her some bread. She couldn't cross the road because it was wide. It was the garden ring, 20 rows of cars. How can you cross it? She could barely see. She went out to get some bread. It seemed her children had abandoned her. I ran across the road, bought her some bread, and brought it back. She looked at the bread, then at me, and what did I see in her eyes? Maternal love of incredible strength. It entered me. I remembered this moment for life. That strength entered me. This is what you need to do. Do something kind and you'll see how God acts through people. Then you begin to believe in old ladies. You see an old lady? Remember that old lady? And you feel a connection with the divine nature in old ladies. I'm speaking seriously. Or you did something kind for a man. When you do something good for men, they start behaving kindly. And you start believing in men, you connect with the divine nature in them. So when your husband starts making noise, you don't believe in that. Instead, you look at him and say, you are such a good man, and it relaxes him immediately. Most people live in the future. They rush to work, for example. They stand at a bus stop. What should you do at a bus stop? You should wish happiness to everyone. Or when you enter the metro, you should repeat, I wish happiness to everyone. It's very difficult because everyone in the Moscow metro is living in the future. I've tried. They're waiting to arrive at their destination. Everyone is in the future. You enter the metro and pretend you're like them because otherwise they won't accept you. You can't laugh loudly in the metro. They won't accept it. They turn away immediately. They think you are crazy. They're afraid. In the metro, you can't loudly say, "I wish happiness to everyone." You must stand like everyone else and blend in. Then, when someone stands next to you, you glance over, "You are a good person." Then the next person. You can also do it with a friend, especially if you tell your friend something funny. Others are standing there looking serious. They're ashamed to smile openly. They need to be serious. They hide their smiles, but they're smiling inside themselves. Gradually, this atmosphere of happiness spreads. But first you feel how you enter a heavy atmosphere. There's a dense and heavy energy of waiting, and you break through it. Or once I met a woman who was issuing tickets at the airport. She didn't sleep all night. This is a real story. I asked her, "Please seat us together." She said, "Can't you see what I'm doing?" This wasn't even in Russia, by the way. It was in Latvia. I was so surprised. It's Europe. They are supposed to be kinder. I looked at her. She looked back at me, deciding whether to torture me further or not. I said, "You must be tired." She replied, "Of course I'm tired. I got up at 3 a.m. Of course I'm tired." I said, "You have such a difficult job." I started talking kindly to her, and she started smiling. She relaxed. I said, "All the best to you. Have a good day at work." The transition to this style of conversation was very difficult for me when she spoke to me like that. It was hard for me, and I thought, should I argue now? No. The second option was to accept my fate and start treating the person with kindness. One should always try to live in the present, but most people don't want to live in the now. When someone believes in the future, they lose their self-respect, they become tense. The energy of happiness from nature and people no longer reaches them. They wear themselves out by believing in the future. Eventually, they break down and become disappointed in life, believing in the past and saying, "It used to be better." Like the poem says, "Yes, those were the people in our time, not like the current tribe. You are not heroes." We got a bad lot. That's grief. Or, as the song goes, "The best song hasn't been sung yet. The best girl, where are you? Everything is still ahead." This is a mistaken view of life. You need to accept your fate, become strong, and that's when life begins. Acceptance means having the strength to accept, and that strength comes from God. Sometimes a person finds themselves in a situation where death is standing right next to them. They say, "If only I had the strength to accept my fate." Jesus Christ cried all night, "Lord, give me the strength to carry the cross." That's the essence. Faith is what matters most. If you receive strength from God to accept, then comes calmness, self-affirmation, inner strength, courage in the face of fate, happiness, and self-respect. Knowledge follows acceptance. All this comes after acceptance. Knowledge comes later. It doesn't come right away. Why doesn't a person know? Because they don't accept. A woman tells me, "He left me. Why did he leave me?" I say, "Calm down." She can't calm down. That's why she doesn't understand why he left her. First you need to accept, and then you'll understand why he left. There is no other way. It's impossible otherwise. The roots go deep. You need to build your life deeply, build deep relationships. Look deeper into the person. They are not what you think. There is more to them. You need to see their soul, see what is pure and bright in them. Then you will be happy. Look very deeply. Female energy is purity. God acts through a woman. When a man sees purity in a woman, she will always be his voice of conscience. She will always warn him of danger. She will become the force that saves and protects him. Purity always works through women. They are the heart of the husband. The tree of love grows over time. Its roots run deep. When the roots are deep, the soul feels light because you see purity in a person, and your soul becomes light. If your soul feels heavy, it means you are not seeing deeply. You are seeing only the surface. A woman complained to me, "My husband is an alcoholic." He's not an alcoholic, he's just sick. You need to look deeper. I look and I see that if he stops drinking, he will have a stroke. This needs to be understood. He doesn't know how to live properly right now. He can't. He is facing an obstacle. He's up against a wall and can't break through, so he drinks. When you understand this, you immediately become calm. You understand the person, and it becomes easier for you to live with them. You calm down, you understand this. He is simply sick, and when someone is sick, you no longer suffer. Suffering comes from misunderstanding. Deep roots uphold lightness in the soul. If you don't live deeply, your soul won't feel light. Raise your hands high to God. But if you rely only on your own strength, exhaustion comes quickly, and that's it. A woman told me, "I worry about my child." What should be done? You need to stop worrying about the child. Think about God, pray, bow to the altar, listen to those who pray, enter the space of sound, be filled with it, and give it back to God. Then God will begin to remember your child, because before you didn't let him in there. Either God enters this connection with the child, or you do. If you constantly keep this connection for yourself, if you carry it alone, you won't have strength, you will have nothing to give. I worry means you want to help, but you can't. The thread is strained. That's why you worry. You don't have the strength to know that there is a personality that knows everything about you and knows where strength is needed. Start filling yourself with energy. Everything is in our hands. God gives us the opportunity. Please think about me, he says. You listen to those who pray, and you fill yourself up. Then calmness comes, happiness. Suddenly fate opens up, strength appears. You can influence it. Your heart opens wide. It feels good. Now give that happiness you feel, that good feeling in the heart, give it back to God. Don't think about the child. Give back to God. Distract yourself. When you felt that you weren't thinking about the child and felt better, that's when God was thinking about your child. This is how people overcome fate. We are not abandoning our children. We trust that God will help us during this time. When we think of Him, I think of God and God thinks of me. When I think only of myself, God gives me this opportunity. God says, please, if you want it that way, go ahead, no problem. There are two ways God interacts with us. One is neutral. You think about yourself, you help yourself. The other is, think of me, and I will think of you and your child. But during this time, forget about yourself and your child too. This is called faith. Faith means trusting God. First comes calmness, self-respect, restored relationships, and the ability to help others. The purpose of human life is not to fix your own life. Most people run toward their own happiness, but you need to forget about your own happiness. If God fills you with happiness from within, you never chase your own happiness. You give happiness to others. You walk and give happiness away to others. Then God follows behind and gives happiness back to you, so you have something to give away. That's how a person should live. We shouldn't run after our happiness. Those who run after their own happiness lose it. All beggars are people who desperately want happiness. Look in the eyes of a beggar who wants to eat. Look in their eyes, they all crave happiness. That's why they are beggars. But when someone craves to serve, they will never be a beggar, because they give away and God gives back. There are two types of soul life. One type is when the soul wants to do something for itself because it's afraid of scarcity. It takes care of itself. God lets these souls live as they want. They live according to karma and fate. The second option is when the soul understands that it needs to forget about itself. But you can't forget about yourself just like that. So you need to do good for people. You should love nature. You should pray. When a person lives with this attitude in all three aspects of life, God begins to enter their life because we let Him in. Go to nature. What happens? Nature fills you. You love it, it fills you. The simplest way to understand God is through nature. Everything is very simple. Go and love nature. It will immediately fill you. It doesn't resist at all. It gives you happiness. With people, it's more complicated. To love people, you need to break through the fate that acts on you through them. This is your fate. Here you need to be stronger. You need to take a strong position. A person may torment you, but you continue to love them. You love the divine within them. You love God in them. You believe that everything will be fine, and that relaxes them. They stop tormenting you. The child is being disruptive. What should I do? Accept the child as they are. They're actually good. They wish well. They're good. They're so active. No, they say. You see, conscience immediately kicks in. That's normal. Yesterday we were repeating, I wish happiness to everyone. Before the lecture I was praying and realized that something should happen during the lecture, some kind of violence. Violence not from people, from something unclear. And we repeat, I wish happiness to everyone. When the light bulb explodes, violence comes out of the air. So our heart knows everything. It feels everything that is going to happen. We have everything in our heart. All this knowledge is there. When a person becomes filled, they begin to live a real life because every person lives to carry out their mission. There are two ways to live. One is self-defense or karma, and the second is service to others or mercy or mission. This is another fate that comes from God. God gives each person another fate, and when a person begins to live by this fate, karma no longer works. The fate that torments us no longer works if we give ourselves to serving people, to God, and so on. To learn more on the subject of health and healing of the body, please make sure to read my health guide, available for download on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. Thank you very much, and see you soon.